Okay.
Okay, so then click got it. Okay, so we're starting our HOA meeting November 9th at 8:39. And like Susan said a second ago, we're recording it and establishing quorum. We have all 5 board members here, so we definitely meet quorum. As far as approving the financials, did you hear back from Ryan, Susan?
No, and I tried looking on the website. There aren't any new ones. I actually did not email him since we talked earlier.
Sure. Okay. So then, 3. So like introduction of the board. I'm Sarah.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Susan.
I'm David.
Billy.
Perfect. So then back to the financials, we'll just wait until we transfer, like till we get a management company figured out to transfer things, and then we'll have to backtrack it. Is that what well, it's both a question and a statement. I'm assuming that's correct because we don't have access to any of that right now.
There are the most recent financials on the website still that people can view, but there's nothing new since the annual meeting.
Okay. David, I know you requested stuff. Have you heard anything from ACS?
No, they closed my item the day after, and we're just waiting on them.
Okay.
So yeah, nothing that.
Okay. And so then just like, so you homeowners are aware, like, I'm sure you got the email, but we're just patiently waiting for bids so that we can go over them. Susan, which one was it that you said wanted to meet with us?
That was the second one I sent the one from last week, and then the second one as well. It's like they want to have a conversation, so they just give a range per door rather than a solid price. But that I Am HOA, they actually gave a bid and have a pretty detailed, it's a pretty detailed bid.
Okay. So then we'll just keep gathering bids, and then as they trickle in, we'll have to get together and make decisions. Am I assuming we're all on the same page that we're more comfortable with a management company, not self-managing?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at it and like, it's just more time than I have to give. So
They say it would be a full-time job for the most part.
yeah, exactly. So I as much fun as I think it would, I don't think I have the time for it to do self-management.
Okay, so then homeowner open forum. Does anybody here have any questions that they'd like to ask and get answered if we can?
Somebody asked a question in the chat. Oh, just kidding. That's you.
No,
Okay.
that's not me. That's another Sarah.
Oh, okay. It says, so we continue to pay our monthly fee to the same place. In the meantime, will our fees go up? That is the question.
Well, I don't know what your numbers were, Susan. Well, I was just reading the email. Do you know what that $10 to $12, the detailed bid, how much that is a month? Did you do that math yet?
The range? You
Well,
mean the bid or the first one?
The I Am HOA, they gave you a better bid, right? Is that what I understood?
More detailed, but their price was $2,200 a month.
Oh, well, Sarah's still waiting on a bid from the official bid, but when she had talked to them on the phone, they said they could do they were thinking somewhere in the 13, was it 25 or 75?
Yeah, 13.
Where we were paying $1,500 with ACS. So in that
We're paying
case,
$1,500 ACS.
and will our fees go up? Do you mean your HOA fees or like the fees for the management company?
I'm assuming the monthly fee. Yeah,
means
HOA
HOA.
fees. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I sure hope not.
We were our goal is to definitely have everything in place by December. And like the email said, if there is a little bit of a layover, to wipe late fees as we get things set up with the new management company. As far as like worst case scenario, if we don't find a new management company, I guess then we will have to contact Ryan about possibly paying for the like paying or making an arrangement for him to collect dues. Does that sound right, Susan?
Yeah, and even if there's a lapse, like let's say that someone still sends them a check, they would make sure that that gets passed on to us. And the homeowner that sent it to them would know that they paid it just to the wrong company. So it will all get sorted out. It's not like someone's money is going to be stolen or lost.
But like where you're on automatic,
Auto pay.
yeah, on auto pay, do they just stop using them or do you have to stop them?
You have to stop them because that goes through Zigo, Paylease, and they're not in the loop on the contract that ACS has or doesn't have. So it would still, if you have an auto payment set up, you would need to cancel that auto payment. So that way Zigo doesn't pull that money, because they're going to pull that money because that's what their system is designed to do.
But I wouldn't rush to cancel it. Like it's due, is it late after the 10th? So that's tomorrow. So I don't know if you know when your payment comes out. If it hasn't come out yet, I would like give it a couple days before canceling it. But that's just me. But I guess we're gonna waive late fees anyway, so that's up to you. But
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know ours pulls out on the 30th of the month prior. So we've already paid for the month of November on the 30th is when it auto paid. And I don't know
Mine
if that's
too.
universal or not.
mine too, but some people can choose what day it's pulled out. So some people will have it come out on the 10th. So
Well, and I don't know if we have to figure this out right now, but are we saying we're waiving late fees for this month because ACS is still collecting this month? Or we're talking about waiving late fees for December's, right? Yeah. So don't cancel it before.
that's,
So I guess we need to maybe the answer is a tentative yes, but pay your November dues and then make sure that those are withdrawn and that those are paid. And then ideal situation will have a new management company for December. If not, then we will let you know what to do from there. Does that sound like a fair answer?
Their banks. Rule on
Can we
canceling.
cancel our automatic payments now? This is in the chat. So can we cancel our automatic payments now and be considered paying on time? Yeah, so like we just said, so you have to pay your November's like on time, normal withdrawal, and we're talking about December's payments. So if in December, we have a different management company, if there's a layover in time, we're gonna waive late fees. If there's, hiccups with setting that up, there won't be any late fees. We don't want people to be penalized for ACS canceling and then the growing pains with finding a new management company.
Another question, there's a secondary question on after the auto payments. Also, just curious if the board has decided on who is taking on different roles, how you are dividing the responsibilities.
So we actually haven't officially figured that out 100%. We all got together at Billy's house and our main focus is the management company. And then we set up like the email and the Google, is it a document? I don't remember what it's called for the action items.
Forms, yeah.
Yeah, Google Forms for the, so.
It's still to be determined. We'll let you know.
But we're moving forward with the management company. Like with
what?
figuring it out.
Yes, I'm like, no, we're not.
Not with a management company, with finding a management company.
This is Bob Werther. A question on the management company on the RFP. Everyone's asking about the money piece of it, but is the scope of work to basically execute the covenants and restrictions? In other words, from what we expect of the management company, there would be no change from the duties that were performed by the previous management company. In other words, if they do more, they should probably get paid more. If they do less, they should probably get paid less. So, before we jump into costs, it might be good to understand what the RFP said in terms of their duties.
Right, and that's why we're waiting for the bids so we can understand exactly what we would be receiving or no longer having coverage for, so that we can make the best decision. I think ideally, we would still like things like action items and calendar, and of course, like the CCNRs being followed. If they have any other services, then we would just determine if it's worth an extra cost or if it's something that we're allowed to say no to. It would just depend on the contract, but I think definitely a good starting point would be acquiring what we already had with ACS, if not more.
Right. We're not trying to get a Rolls Royce if all we need is a Chevy, to answer your question.
Well, I'm suggesting, for example, they say, well, we're not going to do snow removal. You know, I don't know how the RFP was structured, or we're going to not only do the lawn and landscape maintenance, but we're going to improve the landscaping. You know, that to me would be a difference in price of service, which ultimately would affect our dues, is kind of where I'm driving the question. So I guess from a occupant perspective, can I expect the same level of service, is maybe another way of asking the question.
Well, is snow removal, correct me if I'm wrong, that's with a vendor? Is that correct? A separate vendor? But I think most people that we've been talking to offer a lot of the same as what we've already had with ACS. Is that, are you talking about management company or vendors?
Well, but the management company is going to work with the vendors, I assume, is the way it's structured, correct?
It could be. We can either like self-manage the vendors, or the management company will want to be in charge of that.
And I think too, to answer your question, another part of your question, Bob, the snow removal is something that is provided by the association. So the management company, like that will be provided regardless of who the management company is.
Okay, I'm not sure how the work is all divvied up, Susan, and that's the heart of the question, because I assume the management company has subcontracts and vendors that they manage. I mean, that's what, because I suspect no one on this phone call has time to do it.
Yeah, all of the vendors that we currently have in place are, they're not associated with the management. So
Okay.
those contracts aren't canceled because the management canceled
Okay,
their
I
contract.
did not understand that. Okay, that's clear. Thank you.
Yeah, and as far like other meetings that I've gone to, I know Ryan will like come to the table with, like, when he was our manager, he would come to the table with like 3 different bids from like 3 different companies, and then the board would like talk about the best vendor to use. So
Oh, okay, thank you.
yeah.
And as far as HOA fees going up, everything that I've seen so far, like even a switch in management companies is not going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think the thing that's going to be that we're really trying to assess here is what kind of repairs we got to do to our houses, and that's what's kind of like the dark pool out there that we don't know, and that is what is going to be impacting HOA dues. So I would not expect to know or change any HOA dues until we have what that looks like, and we don't have that at this time.
Yeah, just okay. I think that's. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything else you'd like clarity on? Okay, so then bids for review, repairs regarding the fence and the handrails. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that fence section we're talking about is the one where the trees were removed. And figuring out, Susan and I talked, she was gonna start with, was it parks, Susan?
I'm gonna talk to the Parks Department.
Okay, so what we're trying to figure out is who hired who to remove those trees, to figure out who caused the damage. We also briefly talked about the vinyl slats that we do have as a community as possibly repairing some of those sections. I know that some of the homeowners are concerned about either people coming in or their kids going out. And we need to get in contact with those homeowners. And then the goal, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the goal is to figure out who cut down the trees, to hold them responsible for the damage that was incurred on the fences, so that they can either pay for repairs or mitigate repairs so that those fences are repaired for the homeowners.
You're correct. Do you want us to start? Yes, we do.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
I'm
Okay.
just listening.
Okay, that's great. I just want to make sure I'm not moving on before anybody.
What's the
Oh, I'm
handrail?
sorry. No, I was trying to do two things at the same time.
Okay, what's the handrails? Is that when, from the last meeting, when you guys talked about somebody requesting to repair their own, Susan? Or
Yeah, you guys brought that up.
I brought,
I was mentioning that was one repair. I was trying to remember repair requests that had come in, and that was one of them.
Oh, I get when I mean, I'm sure you don't know because you haven't had communication with them, but as far as like open action items and things like that, I'm going to assume that's going to be part of the transfer. Is that a safe assumption, you think?
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say that's not a safe assumption.
Okay.
And
So then-
so we just sort of, but I feel like the action, like the tool we've given homeowners, if we can just get the word out to, if you had a repair request before, will you please let us know what it is again? Or if you haven't made one, now's your chance. We're really trying to get ready, for our budget for next year, and we need all the information we can get.
Okay.
So that way we're not waiting on them anyways. If they happen to give us something, great. But if not, there's no reason why we can't gather that information on our own.
Okay. So then does it sound like a good idea that I'll draft an email explaining that to homeowners, that if you had open ones, we don't have access. We're going to assume we're not going to have a way of getting those transferred over, and then people can open them, like reopen them if they had them, or open new ones.
Right.
Okay. So I'll make a note of that.
And when we get the last agenda, it will show, because the agendas show the requests that came in and the approvals that were made. So we'll have a pretty good idea. I just feel like it's a better use of our time if we just ask homeowners to share
Okay.
what they needed.
There's a follow-up question in the chat. One more question about dues. Just looked up our account. We have an overage on our dues. Will that be transferred automatically to the new management company, or will they give us a refund? Do you have any insight into that, Susan?
I don't know which way they'll choose. I lean towards them transferring it to the new management. And at that point, they could ask for a refund.
Rebecca has the same. So maybe there's more overages than we realize. Okay.
Are we paying them this month with them not giving us everything that we're requesting? Are they giving us a refund for stuff?
From my understanding, it was a 30-day cancellation, basically a 30-day notification that they would be ending at the end of November. So that would obligate us to still pay for the end of this month. But also from the perspective of winding down, it does make sense that they're not receiving our action items, because if those extend beyond November 30th, they would not be responsible to execute upon those action items. So we are still paying them for the month of November.
I think
Okay.
the only thing we're not paying for is the action items. That was the 100 a month or something like that. So where we don't have access to those, and you technically can post an action item. It's just that the board doesn't have we don't have any way to look at it.
So do we just send you an email, or?
Use that tool that David created to post an action item.
You can find that link either on the Facebook page It was emailed to you, or we can email it to you again, whatever's easiest.
I'm sure it's there.
Okay,
Can we, Sarah, can we pin that to the top of the board from the Facebook page? So it's not something they have to dig for. It'll just be pinned to the top, one of the first things that they see.
do you have admin, Susan, for the Facebook page?
I don't have admin, but I have the login and password, so you guys can have admin.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, because I'm not an admin, so I can't pin
I
anything.
just wrote that down, Facebook page admins, so.
The admin pin about the action item forum.
Mhm.
Yes, the form for the action item should be pinned to the top. So that way any homeowner going in, they don't have to dig through a bunch of comments to find it.
Okay. And then Sarah in the chat, I also was right in the middle of working out an issue where I show payment for April of 2021, but they don't and show late fees. They were going to knock the late fees and reapply payment. So I don't know how we're going to mitigate things like that were ongoing between homeowners and ACS.
I think it's safe to, I think it's safe to say, without looking at individual things, that when those issues come up, it'll be just like before, where you'll give the evidence, so to speak. You'll show the board or the new management company where you made this payment and it was made on time. And the new management company will have the authority to go back and remove late fees, just like the current one does. So you'll still be able to prove it. Unfortunately, there will just be a delay and I guess we'll have to wait to see if they follow through on that or if they transfer it over without it being resolved, but it will be taken care of. David will make sure it's taken care of.
The Bensons made a good point in the chat. They said, and I can still look at my action items that I had going on, and you could screenshot it. So that things that were like in the process of being taken care of, if you screenshot those, that would be a good way to show the progress that was going on. Screenshot them now before they're gone. Forgot forever, they'll be gone.
I mean, are we anticipating that kind of action by ACS, that they're just gonna all of a sudden take stuff down that we can't see
Yeah.
anymore?
We can't look at them, right, Susan?
Yeah, the board doesn't have access to them.
Right, but I'm talking about like what she's saying about
sorry.
screenshotting. And then, I mean, are we anticipating that them being manipulative like that?
No, I think we're anticipating them going away after the 30th and nobody having any access.
So if you have an open action item that has been worked on or taking time, if either one's easier, you can either take a screenshot and then send that to us through the Google document, or you can just explain it to us. Either way, whatever's easiest. So it's just an option that if you have access to them, you could screenshot them and forward them to us, so we have knowledge of ongoing action items. And then, like I said a bit ago, we'll make a separate email explaining the action item, like the limited, that we don't have access to it, that homeowners, if they have, like I just said, if they have the open action items, to please forward it to us if they have access. If not, just kind of explain it to us so we can understand all the moving parts as far as the action items go as best as we can without the access through ACS.
So this is Bob. I don't have action items, and I'm obviously relatively new to these meetings, but it seems to me if they're taking payment and they're still under contract and getting paid, they have to maintain the action items. I would assume that's part of their contract. I don't know, I haven't read the contract, but
They're not being compensated for the action item portion, Bob.
Yeah, so the action items was $100 a month. It wasn't part of, it was separate from the management. And I think, just to clarify, I don't know if any of you have access to your open action items. I know I only have access to my closed ones. So when you open it, it's like totally blank and it looks like you don't have any. But if you click on at the top closed, it will show the past action items.
yeah, I apologize for probably some naive questions, but it just seems very highly unusual. I've been doing contracts a long, long time, and this seems highly unusual. So,
Right. And I think that like that's partly like our CCNRs, and I can pull it up, require that we have basically a month-to-month contract. So
That's okay. I'm not challenging it. I'm just trying to understand it.
Sure. And if it's any compensation, we are in the same boat trying to understand it along with you. So then, okay, thank you. Good questions. Okay. And then what were we going to talk about regarding the handrails?
It was just that those were two of the repair items we knew that were there, the fence and the handrails.
Okay.
Because I think Melissa had brought up that there was a homeowner that was approved repairing the handrails on their own if they wanted to. One of
Oh,
the,
was that August?
yeah,
Okay.
but I'm not aware of anything coming of that or happening, so.
I was told by ACS over a year ago that that was my responsibility out there.
I'm just pulling things up. Give me a second.
Just so you know.
Well, the one that we are talking about, Judy, specifically, is somebody wanted to just go ahead and fix their handrail. Correct me if I'm wrong, Susan. And they were like given an answer like, yes, you can do this. Did you give them like, you can tell me, you were on the board then.
They were, so the homeowner was told, because they asked if they could repair them on their own, because they understood it was the homeowner's responsibility, and they were told yes, pending submitting like plans for it. So, but then why I'm saying nothing ever came from it is because they never responded with plans for like a specific approval. So they were told, yes, you can repair them on your own, you just have to submit. So they didn't put in like a pink handrail or something like that.
Okay. So when you guys give approval for that, when you had done that in the past, did you make any time restraints, like put in your application or whatnot for approval by X amount, or is it just open-ended?
It's typically open-ended. The only thing that there's a time limit on is that when someone makes a repair request, you have 30 days to give a response. Because if you don't give a response within 30 days, the homeowner can then assume that the response is yes, and they can go ahead and do it on their own.
Okay. But you guys responded, you just didn't hear anything back.
Right.
Okay. In the chat, with ACS gone, is there a new number to text for after hours guest parking? We haven't thought of that.
So that number is still active. It just depends on if that's something that the board wants to keep or wants to do.
Is that an ACS number or is that a parking vendor number?
It's a separate cell phone number. It's not, ACS doesn't have access to it.
Okay. Awesome.
Do you guys think it would be easier if in that email about the action items, we included people asking for that in an action item? And that way we are not pushing more on ACS. We can just handle that until we're
Well,
with a new
none of it's
management.
on ACS, right? No, that's like a cell phone number. But we've always been able to do it both ways, through the action item or the cell phone number.
Who does the phone go to?
I have the phone upstairs in my house.
It goes to Susan, you guys. You can call Susan.
No, not go to me directly.
So Susan, question. So is this, I'm sorry, and Josh, maybe you can clarify your question. Are you asking for after hours guest parking as in having a guest and needing a parking pass? Or are you asking for after hours guest parking in which somebody is parked in an after hours guest parking? Because I feel like those are two different scenarios.
So I'm referring to if you have a guest staying over at your house and you don't want them to be towed.
Yeah, I feel like that can be, I know Susan, you say you have the cell phone there, but I feel like we could just create another form for parking, guest parking requests.
Well, and not only that, to have anyone towed, it requires evidence that they're there between 1 and 5 a.m.
Right, and not approved.
Right. But there hasn't been anyone towed in quite a while. Like, I don't want to jinx it, but we haven't had many complaints about parking for a while.
David, do you think that you could just create a form where we're looking for homeowners unit?
Yeah,
would-
actually, so I was actually going to make an update to the form so it's easier for that, so they don't even need to do a different one.
Okay.
There'll just be a drop down to say what's your issue,
That's
and
awesome.
then parking will be
Okay.
one of those issues. So
There you go.
yeah,
So we should have that.
Yeah.
What, by tomorrow or day after, David?
most likely tonight. I'm going to put
Josh, you'll have it tonight.
Can they submit pictures on that form?
David and I were talking about that.
Yeah, good
Or
question.
just through
So
the email?
yeah, I'm gonna see if Google Forms does. My intuition says there is, but I don't know for sure. You definitely can email the Davencourt Lehigh@gmail.com any attachments that you need. But if I can, I will also add that on tonight if it is possible. So
That would be good in your email, Sarah, just so people know that, like
Drop
for those
down.
complaints, well, I'm just thinking those complaints between 1 and 5 a.m., there has to be evidence that the vehicle was parked there.
Okay.
Like just sending a text saying, hey, there's a car there, or using the action item saying there's a car there. There has to be evidence to tow.
Okay. Josh, do you feel like that answered your question?
Same number and the form that we emailed out. with
So
the
we
drop.
can still just text, or we have to do both?
I've always thought you could just do one or the other. Susan?
Okay.
I think
Susan?
to make it, I mean, yeah, my initial thought is like we're saying, like with the drop down box, keep everything in the same. You don't have to do both. We'll just direct it all to the email/action item form. Does that sound fair and good and easy?
Yeah, because they can do that form at midnight or whatever. If that was your concern, right, Josh, that it would be like after hours and your car might get towed.
Or your
Yes.
guest.
Yeah, I guess car, but yes.
Yeah, I think, Josh, to answer your question directly, the cell phone number is a little harder for us to track because there's only one cell phone number, whereas the form is something we all have visibility into. It flows through a spreadsheet that we can see, hey, Josh sent a guest parking request at this time. So if somebody did come and say, hey, there's somebody parked and they're producing evidence, we would also be able to go back and see that you submitted your guest parking request and the license plate number and stuff like that.
We can just remove those stickers from the front sign. So people don't even text it if you want.
Okay.
I think that that's a great idea. Because that way the phone's not just sitting at your house or sitting at my house or anybody else's house.
Billy, you're welcome to have it.
No, I have 2 cell phones already for work. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll make sure, so just to be clear, the answer is to use the link that we've given you for the action items, to ask for permission. We're gonna remove things regarding the texting and the double backing on how to get permission. And then we'll also include that in an email, so it's really clear to all the homeowners how we're gonna do that moving forward until we either change or get a new management company. Sound good?
Perfect.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, and then,
I vote yes.
no, you don't have to vote on that. Okay, concrete around flower beds. I'm assuming that's more possible open action items. Okay, so that'll be included in the email. General maintenance. Do we know when Hunt Electric will be done with their work?
No,
Okay, that's a fair answer. Okay, so we'll just include, if I'm sure it'll be okay, but maybe we'll just include that in the email so people know what's going on as far as like the cones and things like that with the street lamps.
If anyone wants to stop and ask them tomorrow when you see the truck there and they're working,
When they're done.
Yeah. how long
when they think they'll be done.
Are they working
just
over
had-
by the, are they working by the basketball court?
Yeah, there's just 3 that they were doing.
Okay, so if I see, because I seen them today, and if I'd have known, I could have stopped and asked them, went out there and asked them. So if I see them out the window tomorrow, I'll stop one of them and ask them if they have a ETA for project completion.
Okay. So then as far as the agenda, we made it.
Woohoo!
And then we don't really have a closed portion because we don't have the financials as far as delinquencies and things like that, right, Susan?
Mhm.
And I guess we'll figure out as a board and also include that in the email about access to the recording of tonight. Whatever form that ends up being. I'm just writing this down. Okay. So then I guess before we like close it to an end, are there any last minute questions? Anything you guys want clarity on? Anything you're slightly confused about that you'd like us to talk about?
Woohoo. Just to, I guess, to reestablish confidence, realize that though the board is new, we are doing the best that we can right now to make sure that even in the face of some of these changes that are taking place, we're doing the best that we can to make sure that we're providing solutions and we're coming to the table with solutions. So it's kind of like a living, breathing document right now on how we are quasi self-managing and looking for a solution to be managed by another vendor. But even in the first meeting that we had together at my house, I feel like we have a competent board. I feel like we have a board that wants to work together and that wants to be in the best interest of the homeowners. I can't tell you how many times the word homeowners came up, and it wasn't just about the board, it was about our community collectively. So I just really look forward to continuing this work and hopefully having the homeowners feel like they're in good hands. That's my nod to Allstate.
I just have a really quick thing. So I came in when you were talking about the HOA fees. Are you going to update us in an email about that? Like what we're doing from here on out? Like where they're going to be paid to and everything?
Yes, so you're gonna get an email within the next, I'd say either late tonight or tomorrow regarding the payments and regarding canceling your fees and or not canceling your fees, canceling your dues with ACS, and that we're going to waive fees with the transition with the new board or the new management company in December, and just explain it as thoroughly as we can. We definitely don't want to, hurt anybody or cause any undue stress. We realize that there are going to be some like lapses in payments and things like that. And that's why we're waiving the fees, and we're going to send out the email to keep you guys as up to date as much as we are. And we'll just go from there. And then of course, if you do have any further questions, you can use that Google document that we're using to like in place of action items. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Quick question on that email. Is it going to include instructions on how to cancel automatic payments?
It can.
Okay, that would be helpful. I don't remember how I set it up.
I will tell you, I just recently, because I had two auto payments set up, I just called Zigo and literally was like, hey, I want to cancel auto payment. And they were like, okay, no problem. And they canceled it. So it was really easy to just give them a call and they canceled it. But I contacted Zigo, not ACS, to make that cancellation.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'll get that. Okay. And I'll get that phone number and include that in the email, just as much information to make it as easy and all the options available to you.
I have it right here if you want the phone number.
Sure.
It's 866
Okay.
729
Okay.
5327.
5327. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, this is Bob once again. Is a Zigo or Zago or Zigo, are they handling all the automatic payments? I know I get a receipt from them as well.
They are. That's the vendor that ACS utilizes to
Okay.
collect the payments. So yes.
So question for you, Billy and team, would it be, are December payments suspended? Did I understand that or did I misunderstand that?
I would call and cancel through Zigo because Zigo is going to collect the payment. They're not in the loop on if ACS is managing us or not.
Right, I understand. So part of the question is, would it be advantageous or disadvantageous for the board to call Zigo and say, hey, look, can you cancel all the automatic payments? I don't know if that's easy to do or if we have to do that, authorize that individually.
I don't mind making that call. I think the only challenge with that is that if I accidentally cancel somebody's automatic payment and their payment hasn't come out for November yet, then I'm creating another issue for
Got
them.
it. Understood. Fair comment. Okay, thank you.
I also don't think that as a board we can, because we don't, each individual homeowner has a contract with them.
Yeah, okay.
through
That's
ACS. I think
fair.
ACS can shut it off for the homeowners, but not the board.
And I was thinking the opposite case, the people who either don't get the word or, they lose the email and they're paying into the proverbial black hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where we'll, I mean, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, but like as we transition to the new one, we'll just follow up with Zigo to make sure there aren't any of those loose end accounts.
Right. We can do that from that end, but I think the best thing to do is to let the November payments go through, and then we'll have about a good 2 weeks. Well, technically, I'll say a week with the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll have about a good week where we can reach out, send another follow-up email to homeowners and say, hey, make sure you cancel your automatic payment. And then we can also do a reach out to Zigo or out to ACS. But if ACS doesn't respond, I have, again, no problem reaching out to Zigo.
Okay. And then payments would resume, presumably on the track you're on, payments would resume on January 1st with the new company, the new payment structure, and whatever the new dues rate would be. Is that correct?
Could be correct. It depends on how fast the other management company can implement. So you might have a due in December, but if not, you may have 2 due in January. Just depends.
Okay. And I'm okay, I'm obviously listening to this, but I do fear that, there's a high probability of late payments in December if there are going to be payments in December as we go through, and it's at the holidays and all that good stuff. So
correct. And I think the waiving of the late fees is the overall arching safety net to that for the one-offs, if there are one-offs, or if I get a late fee, that would be interesting because I don't like being late on things. But the knowing that grace is in place already, that's to alleviate the stress on the homeowners.
And I think it's important to note too that worst case scenario, it doesn't get shut off or something like that. We have the means as a board to make sure vendors are paid and there's enough in the operating account. Like we have access to funds. So it's not like all of a sudden December 1st, no bills will get paid. That will be taken care of.
yeah, the balance sheet looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from anybody else? All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Second that again.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. You guys have a great evening, and look forward to working with you guys and with the homeowners. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
I think I got it all there. Sorry, I had to like remove them one by one.
I didn't know I was muted. I was trying to.
Lost
So we just
those.
need Billy. Billy's gone.
He's hooking up his new fridge.
He needs ice by tomorrow.
I can understand that.
I have to call him.
Are you calling him?
Yeah, I will really quick. Holy cow. Jeez
Just
Louise.
blowing up his phone.
Oh.
I don't know.
He's like,
phone could
bye,
go off
bye,
that
bye.
much.
Clever.
Oh, he said, LOL, okay.
Oh, geez,
got
and
him
I'm calling
first.
him.
I got him first. I knew it would work. I didn't mean like that. Sorry, I can't. But okay, thank you.
Oh, there he is. He's coming. Oh, where'd Melissa go?
She's
I'm here.
leaning
I'm
over.
right here.
Okay.
Okay, recording is still going. Do we want to still record?
I don't care. Do you want me to stop it?
Oh, I don't care. I just was letting you know, because if it's going out to the homeowners association,